Want to transform your wheels into carbon fiber? Let's figure it out. Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about wheels. And so we've done a couple of other videos. They're a little bit older, but we wanted to go ahead and revamp this to go ahead and show you a couple of different things on what you're going to be looking for if you're wanting to have carbon fiber on your wheels. Now, of course, we have all different kinds of wheels out there on the market. Some have really deep lips, some have front faces, some have no lips at all. I mean, there's just tons of different ways. They have 100 spokes, they have 5 spokes. There's tons of different wheels. So this is not going to be an exact video on dipping this exact specific wheel, but more or less a overview of what you need to look for whenever you do have a wheel and you're wanting to possibly do it in a carbon fiber dip with the hydrographic process. So let's take a look at the wheel. Let's see what we've done and go over a few things. And then of course, as you guys always know, cut the film, lay it on the water, and show you guys the end result. So let's take a look at the wheel. So what we've got is we've got a 2024 Chevrolet Corvette wheel, a whole set that we're gonna be doing. And so with a wheel like this, we've got a couple of things that we've already done. Number one, we have already taped off the inside lip down in here. So that way, either two things. Number one, we're not going to get any of the dip going down past this little spot that we've taped. And then number two, if you're only wanting to do the front face of the wheel, then before we do any of the prep work, we would have already taped this up to begin with. Now this customer specifically, we're doing a color match on the inside barrel, so we've actually already painted that and prepped it all out the right color. So you'll see that at the end result whenever we get everything finished. But going back to the wheel itself, there's a couple of different things that you want to look for whenever you're looking at possibly dipping the rim. The first thing is this lip that you have right through here. Now this one is not too bad. It actually does not have a very deep recess coming over or coming inward to this right here. So that can help get a lot of that trapped air out of the film itself, and you don't have a trapped air pocket. So that's going to be really good. Now the other thing that we're looking at is that this recess right here. So of course, if you have a lip of any sort, it's going to stretch going down into it. Now, as you're dipping it down into the water, this can possibly trap air depending on the angle of your dip. So you definitely want to be very mindful of how this is going down, so then that way it can continue to flow down inward and then flow out and hopefully not trap any air. So of course, the other thing is going to be is these little areas right in here. Now, with any of the film, and it doesn't matter if it's carbon fiber, wood grain, camouflage, anything like that, it's going to stretch, just plain and simple. So of course, in these areas right here, you're going to get a lot of stretch because you're trying to make this much material go that far all the way down into these little bitty creased or recessed areas. And so the one thing that you definitely want to make sure of is that you try to communicate that to the customer, so then that way they know, as well as it's also a possibility that we may have to come back in and touch up a lot of those areas. So whether that be blacking in some of these areas down into here, or even coming in with a like color if you're doing, say, a camouflage or something like that, to possibly try to blend that area in a little bit better. So those are definitely a couple of things that you want to look for. Now, let's talk about the technique on the dipping itself. So the dipping itself is going to be pretty straightforward with something like this. Now, the one thing that you always want to make sure of is that if you have a spoke that comes all the way out to this top edge that's right here, and it does not stop on the bottom inside the lip, then what we want to do is we want to actually put the rim to where one of these spokes right here is at the very top. Now, in this case, if I was going to be dipping this, I would put either one here, there, or there, right up at the very top, like this right here. So whenever we're going down into the water, this would be the first point of entry, and then it would come all the way up, and then it would exit out right here. So of course we're gonna probably have maybe a little bit of trapped air in here, a little bit of trapped air in here, but hopefully we can continue this going all the way out, and then we don't get a lot of trapped air. So if I was to dip this like this, going down into the water to where this was my entry point here, and then it came up, what I'm gonna have is I'm possibly gonna have more of a bigger trapped area right in through here. So of course, number one, if you do have a lip, more of a lip that's like this right here, that is all around the rim, and these spokes do not go all the way out to the outer edge, then this is probably the way that you're gonna have to dip it, mainly because a couple of things. Number one, you're going to trap air no matter what. There's almost no way around it. But to help alleviate a lot of the trapped air, we can take where the valve stem would normally go and put it at the very top. So if these spokes were not all the way up here and they were maybe down into here, I would have this, my actual valve stem hole. I would open this up, take the bolt out or whichever, have it open. So then that way, as the water and the film is flowing upwards like this, it can hit here and it still has an area to escape out with all of the film that we have. So you definitely want to be mindful of that whenever you are looking at the overall rim itself, whether it's going to have the spoke at the top of the dip or you're going to have the valve stem at the top of the dip. So we've got our film laid out here. Now of course you can clearly see we're using a 1 meter wide film, especially on almost any wheel that you have. You need to be using a 1 meter wide film. Now I have already measured the wheels. The wheels are 20-inch wheels, so of course I'm gonna cut it a little bit longer. And so we're probably gonna cut it about 26 inches. So let's go ahead and double check this, which we've got it pretty much right at about 26 right here. And then we know that the cut needs to be right over there. So that gives me, on a 20-inch wheel, it'll give me ballpark about 3 inches on each side, 2 inches or so on each side, left and right. So technically we're gonna be dipping the wheel going down into it like this. Now, a couple of things to look at too is that I am actually going to keep the whole amount of film as it is. And so what I mean by that is that whenever I'm dipping it, I am more than likely going to set this like so. And so what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to start my dip maybe somewhere in here, because my tank itself is going to be sitting right here. And so if I start very close, then as I'm going down, of course the wheel is possibly going to hit the side of the tank, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to start my dip somewhere about 6 to 8 inches past where this edge of this film is. So I'll have my wheel like this, and then as I'm going down, I'm just going to go nice and slow, nice smooth fluid motion going all the way down into the water to hopefully get everything covered. I got a couple of inches all the way around. Of course you can cut more if you need to, but I feel like that's going to be more than enough for what we need. And then we will finish out. And then again, now I'm not going to be doing this. I'm going to try to keep that angle as much as I can going all the way down, and I'm feeding, if you will, the film into the wheel itself to hopefully prevent a lot of trapped air and any stretching that might occur. So after looking at this a lot more, we're actually going to turn the film like this. So I'm going to be a little bit more sideways like this right here as I'm going down into the water, but for the sake of the shot and the video itself, that's going to be a lot better. So then you can watch and see how that film is feeding up into the wheel itself, as well as I can still hold it right in here, and I'm just going down at that nice smooth 45-degree motion, going all the way down into it, instead of, if you have a very heavy wheel, you can go down like this, but then you're also way more out like this right here. So if you have a heavy wheel, that's going to be a really big problem, because holding it out like that compared to right here is going to be a lot harder. So I can continue to hold it more like this, and then we can still go down, show you guys the shot of as it's feeding in. So I think that's going to be a lot better. So we're going to go ahead, lay the film on the water, and let's get started. So we've got these all finished up, and I have to say these are probably one of my favorite wheels that we have done as far as the color, the pop, the way that everything laid out. It looks amazing. And so I'll kind of show you guys a few things on this. Of course, you can see we've got the carbon fiber all in here. Now, this carbon actually did really, really well. You can see that we've got a really good stretch all the way in these little areas right here. So it is very, very minimal as far as the stretch goes, which is really great. And that also helps whenever you do have a film that you're working with, that it stretches really well as well. So definitely these came out looking really good. And of course you can clearly see down inside here, we've got the red. So of course we've color matched the red from the car to the inside of the wheels. And definitely whenever you see this thing sitting like that on the car, it is going to pop for sure. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, and definitely leave them below. We'd always love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related, as well as let me know your thoughts on how this thing came out. I think it came out looking awesome. It is very bright, very vibrant, and it definitely looks like a one-of-a-kind piece of art. So if you're wondering about any of the products that we used on this, definitely check out the links in the description below. It's going to have links to our website, liquidconcepts.com, where you can find any and all of the products that we used, from the film to the colors, even the clear coat and the primer, everything like that. It's all on the website, so definitely check that out as well. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We'd always love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks on anything hydrographics related, as well as you can check out more things like this right here that we're doing on a daily and weekly basis, and trying to upload as much as possible, so that way you guys can help better yourself in the hydrographics industry. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.